today on DC News Now at noon.
How religious organizations could help the affordable housing crisis in our area.
Another sunny day in the DMV, but how long will these dry conditions stick around? Meteorologist Scott Sumner is tracking your next chance for rain. Plus, there are big savings on the menu. We're helping you stretch your dollar with tips that'll keep some money in your wallets for Thanksgiving dinner. Also, a Northern Virginia community is speaking out after a historic mural was demolished. And we are 2 weeks away from a historic election in Virginia's gubernatorial race, the big names attaching themselves to both candidates.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for DC News Now here at noon. I'm Annalisa Gale. All right, let's take a live look outside now at the White House, where Senate Republicans will meet with President Trump later today. We're now on day 21 of this government shutdown. That's 3 weeks there, and there's still no end in sight, and it's on track to become the longest shutdown in history. Meantime, most federal workers remain on furlough or working without pay. A deadlock remaining over health care tax credits that are set to expire later this year. And with the Senate failing to pass a continuing resolution for the 11th time, finger pointing across the aisle still continues.
This is a political stunt, and it's the first time it's been done, and it is the most costly, most selfish, most dangerous political stunt in the history of the United States Congress.
We need to find a bipartisan path toward enacting a spending agreement that actually is designed to make life better for the American people, as opposed to hurting everyday Americans. And we need to decisively address the Republican health care crisis.
Now, while the White House wants to use the shutdown to move ahead with its priorities, including mass federal layoffs, a judge ruling the administration cannot use the shutdown as an excuse to fire federal workers. And if you're traveling, you'll want to pay attention to your flight times. Yesterday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying the shutdown is amplifying air traffic controller shortages. DC News Now's Haley Milon is at Reagan National Airport, where delays have been in the hundreds.
Hundreds of delayed flights here at Reagan National yesterday alone. Secretary Sean Duffy saying that air traffic controllers are calling out sick so they can go work side hustles just to pay their bills. And last week, we heard from the National Air Traffic Controllers Association here at Reagan about how dire the situation is.
Can you imagine doing such a stressful job and wondering if you're going to be able to make your next mortgage payment?
So many can say, well, you'll get paid eventually. Well, that doesn't pay the bills today.
You don't see those air traffic controllers when you come to the airport, but boy, do we feel the difference when there aren't enough of them in the towers. 255 delayed flights at Reagan just yesterday. The shutdown is straining a workforce that is already under duress. We've been reporting for years about how overextended the tower at Reagan is. 13,000 air traffic controllers are now set to miss a paycheck on October 28th. At 4 airports across the U.S., we've already seen air traffic come to a complete standstill because there was absolutely no one in the towers. We haven't seen that yet here at D.C. area airports. And as we wait for Congress to strike a deal reopening the government, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have flagged concerns about the shutdown's impact on air travel safety. From Reagan National Airport, I'm Haley Milon. Back to you.
It's a shame people are furloughed and not leaving their house. I'm furloughed right now, so I'm not leaving my house very much.
Meantime, Metro saying while ridership is down, its service levels haven't changed. It will continue to monitor the situation until the shutdown is over. And the impacts of the government shutdown are now extending there. WMATA saying since the shutdown started on October 1st, there's been a 24% drop in federal workers using Metro compared to weekdays in September. And overall, a drop of 7% of people using both bus and rails from last month. But Metro says some weekend numbers have stayed about the same. WMATA calling itself the backbone of the transportation in the region with the responsibility of moving nearly 1 million riders every day. And for more continuing coverage of this government shutdown now in week 3, you can head to our website, dcnewsnow.com. You can find resources for those who may be impacted. And turning now to meteorologist Scott Sumner with a check on our forecast. Scott, so far it is looking pretty good out there and it'll warm up a bit.
Yeah, today will be a little bit warmer than yesterday. That is for sure, Annalisa. We're already at what we would say is highs yesterday, 64 degrees and sunny skies being seen here in the district. And we'll be topping out most likely in and around that lower 70 mark. It's also a mild or warmer breeze that you see out there. We still have winds gusting up to around 20 miles an hour this hour at Fredericksburg up towards Hagerstown and all points in between. So for the most part, it is still that breezy across the region, and it will continue to be that way because we still have a front to move on through. Now, you notice there's not much moisture associated with this. It's just starting to move through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at this point in time. So we could have a few early afternoon sprinkles out across the mountains in the higher elevations. Otherwise, it'll stay dry for everybody else until the evening hours. And coming up in the main weather, I'll show you the future cast. But we certainly could use that rain. What's coming in tonight is nothing compared to what we need because, as the drought monitor shows, we are normally dry here in D.C. Moderate, severe, and extreme droughts pretty much seen throughout the remainder of the DMV. What about temperatures this afternoon? Well, like I said, we're going to get up into the 70s here in D.C., but in Silver Spring, possibly topping out around 66 degrees or upper 60s to around 70 degrees. And a quick look at the headlines here. Spotty showers tonight, breezy Wednesday, and sunny and cooler later in the week. Annalisa.
All right. Thanks so much, Scott. And DC News Now is your local election headquarters with all eyes on Virginia's gubernatorial race. Former President Barack Obama is set to go to Norfolk, Virginia to rally support with Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger on November 1st, just days before that general election. The news comes as Obama recently endorsed Spanberger's gubernatorial campaign. That event will also mark the first time a Democratic president has campaigned in the Hampton Roads region in over a decade. President Obama was the last to do so back in 2012. We've reached out to Winsome Earle-Sears' campaign for comment, but so far we have not heard back. And looking ahead tonight, Spanberger and former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg will be in Charlottesville, Virginia, rallying with supporters. That event starting at 6:30. You can watch our full coverage online at dcnewsnow.com and on air for DC News Now at 9 and 10. Meantime, President Donald Trump speaking on Virginia's governor's race while on board Air Force One on Sunday.
Well, I think the Republican candidate is very good, and I think she should win because the Democrat candidate's a disaster. So I haven't been too much involved in Virginia. I love the state. I did very well in the state. But I will tell you, I think the Republican candidate is excellent, and I think the Democrat candidate is a disaster. I mean, I watched her in the debate. She couldn't answer the most basic question.
And Winsome Earle-Sears taking to X to thank the president, saying, quote, "Thank you for your kind words of support, President Trump. And you're right, Abigail would be a disaster for Virginia," end quote. We did reach out to Spanberger's campaign for comment, but so far we have not heard back. An update out of the district now. 2 more teens are facing charges in an attack involving a former DOJ staffer. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro making that announcement alongside Police Chief Pamela Smith. Pirro says 19-year-old Lawrence Powell and 18-year-old Anthony Taylor are facing assault charges. That attack happened in August during an attempted carjacking on Swan Street Northwest. Police say Ethan Levine was walking in a group with former DOJ employee Edward Corstein before that attack. We do want to warn you, some of the images you're about to see can be disturbing.
Cotton Powell was stomping on Levine's head, as you can see in this poster to my left. Levine was able to get up momentarily, but the crowd chased him and got him down again.
According to our media partners at The Hill, a D.C. judge sentenced 2 15-year-olds to probation following that attack. A week after the incident, President Trump deploying the D.C. National Guard and taking control of the district's police department. And over in Northern Virginia, there were hateful messages discovered in Woodbridge. A school resource officer reportedly finding swastikas drawn on the boys' bathroom walls at Forest Park High School on Friday. School leaders say they've removed those images and police are now investigating. In a letter home to families, the school writing in part, "This behavior is completely unacceptable and we took immediate action to remove the offensive vandalism," adding, quote, "Graffiti or vandalism on school property, particularly the use of anti-Semitic symbols, is a violation of PWCS code of behavior, and we take this violation very seriously." In Maryland now, a woman in Montgomery County is facing charges after police say she used AI to falsely report that someone broke into her home earlier this month. Police say it's all part of a prank trending on TikTok. DC News Now's Kevon Dupree covers Montgomery County for us. He has reaction from neighbors in the area where police responded.
The viral TikTok prank involves people creating AI-generated images of a stranger inside their home. They then send those images to friends and family, saying that someone has forced their way into their home and that they won't leave. A woman in North Bethesda pulled this prank on her husband, and she landed behind bars.
I mean, it's hard because it is a prank. You never know. But at the end of the day, when resources like that are used, it's a hard situation.
Blake Erickson's family members live in the area where the prank and false police report happened. He's seen pranks similar to it pop up on his TikTok account recently.
People pranks on their parents, and they say, "Oh yeah, there's a man who is outside. He was hungry, so I invited him in." And then they'll show them sleeping in like their bed and like going through their stuff.
Montgomery County police say Moesha Gardner pulled the prank on her husband. She sent him a picture of a stranger lying on their couch, saying that he had forced his way into their home. Her husband called 911.
Our units were dispatched, but it's expedited because they believed that there was someone in this person's apartment that was potentially going to do harm to them.
When officers arrived, they found Gardner and a cell phone mounted on a tripod that was recording.
It was at that time that they were advised that this was some kind of a prank on TikTok.
Gardner admitted that the picture of the intruder was AI generated. She was later arrested and charged.
It's incredibly immature. I think for anyone of any age to really participate in those.
People follow internet trends all the time. I think it's very ignorant to do so, I'd say. I mean, it causes a lot of resource waste.
I think that a lot of them are pretty convincing, especially when somebody's just, looking at it, they're not thinking too much about it, they can be caught off guard. And as you react, knee-jerk reaction, yeah, it can be a pretty bad.
And Gardner was charged with 2 counts of making a false statement. In Montgomery County, I'm Kevon Dupree, DC News Now.
Kevon, thank you. And still to come, Thanksgiving is nearly a month away, but we're stretching your dollar ahead of time with ways to save for that big dinner. Plus, DC's Mayor Muriel Bowser going to Texas to get some inspiration for the future of RFK Stadium. Details on that ahead.